when they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you are listening or watching The Thing at the Foot of the Bed. Sorry, I had to remember what show I'm on. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin, one of the co-hosts of this show. I want to say hi to Zach Mann. He says, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for your patience. I thought I had my microphone on my crazy computer fixed, but I didn't. But anyways, I digress. So if you've never been to the show before, welcome. David and I started the show a couple months ago. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am a Canadian clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher, and mentor, as well as a registered nurse and a host of my own show here on UPRN, otherwise known as UFO Paranormal Radio, also known as United Public Radio Network. And it's called The Angel Rock. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday nights. Also, if you're watching and you want to join the conversation, like Sandra, who says hello, Lorilei and David, and Janie Walker says hello, all you have to do is, if you're on Facebook, before you go there, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give StreamYard permission to use your picture and your name, so we know who you are. Otherwise, you come up as Facebook user. But head over to UFO Paranormal Radio, either on Facebook or YouTube. We can see your comments there. And if you've been to our show before, you know we love to make you part of the conversation. Plus, we have our predictable readings sometime during this 2-hour period. One last thing quickly. We are on Roku. Our show isn't yet. We've been talking about it, but the network has a channel on Roku. And some of the amazing shows, we have something for everybody on this network. Please check it out. Share, like, subscribe, because we are getting all kinds of great new and exciting hosts all the time. So to go see us on Roku, you have to go to the channel store, look up UFO space P as in paranormal. You're going to have a little list come up. You're going to scroll down till you see UFO space paranormal and United Public Radio. And that is us. Now let me share my amazing co-host with you, David.
Hi, my name is David Hanzel. I'm a spiritual medium. I've been talking and channeling and spirits and angels since I was a wee little boy. That's it. And I have another podcast outside of this, which is called Mystic Stew, kind of a short form podcast. It's just recorded. It's not live. And you can find me all over the place. But enough about me. Did you told everybody where to watch us and everything?
In what way? Like where? Here?
Oh, you told me about. I totally missed it. I blanked out.
You mean on Facebook or YouTube? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, this is such a weird. Hi, Shannon. You know what? Before we talk about our subject, we have a cool subject to talk about today, guys.
Hi, crew. Wait, she's got the crew with her. That's our paranormal special group that sits around the radio on Thursday night. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Cool. Hi, everybody.
Shannon told us about you. So we love when we have people here. But guys, we have a special group that gather around the radio with Shannon. She's a nurse. So we're going to give all your special peeps there a big hello. And we're so glad you join us.
Yes. And before we talk about our subject, Lorilei, I just want to talk about this and let me know. And just from now, this last, I think it's been at least 4 days. I think 3 or 4 days. The energy is really weird in the world. It's really weird. Even like today, like my phone wasn't working right. My computers weren't working right. Which to like Sandra and all these other ones who do like what we do, sometimes it's our energy. If there's something with our energy can, change electronics. Sometimes even we had problems getting on today. And then I went from store to store today to find some foam because I wanted to put a fake plant up someplace. I could not find foam anywhere. It's like, why can't I find floral foam? And then I drove around for 4 or 5 hours did all my stuff. I was way on the other side of town. And when I got home, I got a text saying my new glasses were ready because I ordered new glasses. And of course, they did it right as I pulled into my driveway, so I had to pull right back out and drive another 30 minutes. It's just been that kind of weird week going on. And I've been talking to other people, and I think energies.
Yeah, that's why I put it up there, Dave. I was thinking it was my audio. That's why we were messing around before. But thanks for letting us know,
Do
Sandra.
I still sound like a tin can?
No, it sounds better, Dave. Sounds a
Oh,
lot better.
good.
Now sit closer.
But the energies everywhere are just really weird. They're affecting electronics, affecting like just things in life timelines, everything. I think it's affecting. Lorilei just sent me a video too. I would like to talk about that one though.
Okay, well, first
Lorilei-
of all, let me add about the energy. Yeah, I have to agree with you. And
yeah,
as we connect with people that do the kind of stuff as we do, we have friends in those type of groups as
yeah,
well. And I don't usually remember my dreams, but I can tell you, I had a dream that I am sure I was there. And I kept asking Spirit, please tell me this is another timeline. Like it literally was so real. And I'm not going to get into the graphic details of it, but I witnessed the passing, I will say, of somebody that's very near and dear to me. And I was there. And I hope to God it was just the energy and everything else, because I don't have dreams like that. I've only had a few, but I agree with electronics. You name it, people have been kind of off and
yeah,
touchy. Or what I'm finding too is talking to people and then they don't remember having the conversation. So I'm
yeah.
not sure if we're switching timelines or they didn't quite hear it that way, but we've got a really strange, like the arrangement of the planets and stars coming up, I believe. So
We
that could be
do.
it as well. Mhm.
We do. And then I think it was last Monday was one
Got
of
to
the
move
moons.
closer, Dave. Sandra says we still sound like a trash can.
One of the moons. Can you hear me now,
That's
Sandra?
way better. Well, when you're really close, but
Okay.
no, go ahead.
And another thing too, mine with dreams, and that's funny you brought that up. For the last 3, 4 days too, I've been waking up at least 3 or 4 times a night, which I never do. I sleep through the night like a baby. I have no problem sleeping. I've been waking up, of course, at 2, 3, and then I'd go back to bed. A half hour later, I'd wake up. I'd feel fine. I'd wake up from dreams, and I'd go back into the dream. Weird, weird time going on. But you know what? I think it's kind of exciting.
Well,
Um,
it's exciting, but like you said, I sent you a video and I haven't sent it. I don't think I've sent it to anybody on this list yet because some people are on my friend. Well, I've sent it to Janie. Janie's seen it. Um, and somebody had sent this to me. They're from Canada, like I am, and they watched the proceedings. You have to be careful of whose names and what we use on here. We'll just say of
yeah,
the arrest of a certain past leader of the U.S. We'll say, and there was somebody that was caught on camera. And at first, when I saw the video, I went, "Okay, so he doesn't have any ear or hairs." Hair, I mean, he's got low set kind of ears. And then the narrator kept saying, um, watch his eyes, watch his eyes. And his eyes looked like they were glitching and going from slit to slit to slit. And the guy kept saying there's a whole bunch of guys out here like this. So I wanted to know the source. I always do a bunch of research. I try not to send stuff out, but I sent it to Dave because this is the podcast where we talk about the weird, the
yeah.
wonderful, the amazing, the strange. The second part, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts because we didn't get much of a chance to talk about this. So the second part, I found it on TikTok. That was creepy. I am getting goosebumps telling you guys this. Holy crap. Like the guy that was filming it says, watch, they know that we're filming them. And there's these guards that keep stepping in front of this bald guy. And I don't know what he's supposed to be or what, but I don't think he's of this planet. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And then he goes, he knows we're filming. Watch, watch. He's going to pop out from behind the guards because they were blocking so you couldn't see this bald-headed man. He pops his head around the corner. That was the most evil, sinister smile I have ever seen in my life. And it was just momentary, popping out and popping back. So what'd you think, Dave?
I'm not quite sure. The only thing that worries me once again is because, a lot of people, I know his eyes were doing weird things, and a lot of people are always, right away, as soon as weird things are always saying, oh, it's reptilians and they're bad people. And from anybody knows my past, I don't think all of them are. Although
They're
that
not.
gentleman seemed really, you know what? If he was gray, he would have looked like a short gray.
He would have, but I wanted to add something. I forgot to tell you this. Remember how we've talked about this on the show as well as off the air? And we've had the theory, just from your own experiences, people I've spoken to, and what have you, that just as there are human beings that are good and there are human beings that are not so good, this is what was being channeled from somebody that was connecting to a collective, I believe, angelic collective, archangels. They were saying the same things. Just because, it doesn't mean that all reptilians are evil or all, Anunnaki or all these names that we hear. They have good and they have not so good, just like we do, just like what we theorize. So I hear you. It could have been a gray. I'm not sure.
And you know what else I'm going to say? And I'm not, I'm not going down the conspiracy path, but I do have to say this. A lot of people, every time people talk about aliens or talk about things, there's a large group of people who are always going to the fear base of it, because I don't think they want us to be accepting of them. And you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's the other beings that are bad. I think it's our beings here who are trying to divert us from that. I think, I've hashed this out over and over in my head and talking to my guides and everything. If they were to come here, when they come here, the world is going to change.
I think they're here already.
Yeah, well, they are here. But I mean, when they make themselves known, the world's going to change, because, they probably know more about the Earth's history than we do, more about the Earth's history than scientists do. Not saying scientists suck, because scientists are very good, but they can only go back as far as they can, and they can only comprehend as much as they can.
I was gonna comment on this with Sandra. She said she's been sleepy all day. That is how I have been. And then I've been going to bed as soon as I tuck my youngest in. And same thing like you said, Dave. I don't sleep well anyways, only get a couple hours, but this is crazy. Like, I go to sleep for half an hour, wake up thinking I've slept for 5 hours, get up, and then it's like, oh crap, I've only been asleep for half an hour. Go back to bed nonstop. We've got quite a few dream things here too.
Yeah,
Transformation. I'm going to say hi. That's Linda.
Hi, Linda. Zachman said that he normally is able to sleep through the night too, but he's finding himself unable to sleep or wake up in the middle of the night. Yeah. It's so weird. I'm the same way, Zachman. I in the past 7 years, I am that person who does not have a hard time falling asleep at night. When we get done here at 9 o'clock, I do like 3 or 4 things. I am fast asleep by 10 o'clock, and it's like boom, it's just out. I never have to struggle. And the last couple nights just been opening and open, staying up and staying up. Do you want to read Shannon?
Sure. Shannon, we can see you now. You've come up. I think we can see everybody's name here so far. So thank you.
Yeah.
So Shannon says, Shannon here, talking about dreams. I said to my mom the other day, I forget the sound of Dad's voice. I know your dad's voice, by the way. Her dad, I'm going to stop her there for a second. I was doing some readings one night, just had a little bit of time. Her dad, I can still hear his laugh. I can see him. I've never met him. He just has the most incredible, energetic type of personality. I know where Shannon gets it from. Anyways, I'm going to finish reading. She said, I said to my mom the other day, I forget the sound of Dad's voice. I know if I heard it, I would know it. Literally last night, I had a dream and Dad was talking to me. I woke up so happy yesterday. Oh, I'm so glad.
Oh, that's wonderful. Those are the best. Those are the best dreams ever. And, I wish them on everybody. I hope everybody has a dream like that at some point, because it really does prove a lot of things to you. It really does open up the doors and make you feel.
Her dad had such, I don't know if you find this, Dave. We're not even on our topic yet. We go where you guys want to go.
We'll get to it.
I was going to say, I find, like, for example, I had a reading once with a lady in Japan. And I knew from the energy coming through, she wanted to connect with her mother. And her mom, I knew, had to be a very quiet, reserved type person, because the energy seemed to be coming through that way. Don't get me wrong, we lose a lot of our human traits, but there's also quite a few identifying characteristics, so we know who it is coming in. Whereas with Shannon's dad, I wasn't trying to connect with him. like in any way, shape, or form. He just started laughing. I could hear him. I could see him. I was astounded on that live because I wasn't even trying to connect with him. And he wasn't being rude or like hopping in like, hey, here's me. He wanted to tell his daughter that he loved her. And he just like it was a beautiful energy that came through. But he had
Oh,
that kind
no.
of personality from talking to Shannon when he was here on this, in physical form, we'll say. He had that kind of personality and you could feel the energy. Do you find that too, Dave, with
I
energy?
do. I do. And to explain to some people who are listening to this, and then I'm going to read Zach Man's prediction because I
Okay.
have something to say
Happy
about that.
Easter to those that celebrate, and
Yeah,
hi to
happy Easter.
Helen in Australia. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
Okay, so where were we? So when I was over there, or all the ones I've talked to, everything, like Lorilei says, we do every for every life that we did. So let's say you've been in 50 million plays. Okay, I was in 6 different plays. Whoever you played in that play becomes part of the main character's energy. So how you are now is most likely how you are on the other side and have been through every life. So like Shannon's dad, fun guy. There's a chuckle that comes with him. It's a chuckle, 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 chuckle over and over.
I
Um,
got a big belly laugh when he came
yeah.
through because I think he thought it
So
was really funny. He shocked me.
yeah, so that's actually how we are. Even
Yeah.
though we don't keep our complete persona of here, we still keep those cool traits.
Excuse me.
So that's really wonderful. I'm glad. And to anybody, just pay attention to your dreams and keep writing them down, and one day you'll get those. So Zach Man, let's get to this one because this is really good. Let's talk about this for a minute. Zach Man says, I'm going to make a prediction. Okay. When extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings make themselves officially known, the word alien is going to be seen as a derogatory term. Do you know what? I already see it as a
Yeah, I
derogatory
do
term.
too.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. That's and that's how human beings would be too. Oh, the damn aliens are here. They're trying to take our jobs. And it's like, no, they make spaceships. They don't
They
need to
were
do
here
that.
before we were. I'm
Oh
sorry,
yeah,
but they were. And
and we
alien
could have
is
been.
derogatory.
Yeah, and there's a lot of us who could have been them back then too, because we would reincarnate. Did you ever see District 9?
I believe I did. Yeah, once upon a time ago.
Yeah, District 9 was one of those ones where a spaceship got stuck here, and they pretty much took those aliens and sectioned them off in a part of the world, and they were treated like crap.
Reminds me of
Um,
World War II with what happened. My ex-mother-in-law was Japanese and her family was from Japan. She lived in Japan till she was 5 and they were put in camps here during World War II,
oh
even in
yeah,
Canada.
that's just I am hoping Zach Man that we will not be calling extraterrestrial. But I know there's going to be people who are going to be angry. They're not going to even believe it. Oh, that's not really them. They're wearing a costume. Okay, whatever. But yep, I believe that. That's absolutely true. Let's both take this
So
one.
Michelle asks, how many of us are aliens but don't know it? Could this be possible? I'm going to add my 2 cents worth, Dave, and then you go ahead. What I think it is from what I understand, and you start getting into star seeds and stuff. I've even read accounts and even done some readings with people who have had encounters, whether you want to call it lucid dreaming, whatever you want to call it, even I don't even like to really call it abductions all the time, but they've had an encounter, which seems to be and feels to be very real to that
Yeah.
person. And I believe it because I believe I've had an experience like that.
Yeah.
But they've had beings from another planet. You know they're from a different planet by the way they look and they sound and they communicate. And they keep saying, we're your family. Don't you remember us? Like you don't remember us. I was your mother. I've literally run into people like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are extraterrestrial, but they've, I guess, in this lifetime chose to incarnate into this lifetime, or it could be that they split off. I'm not quite sure how it is. I believe there's a lot of half and half with human and then extraterrestrial DNA. There's all different kinds of mixtures. So I agree with you, but I believe that a lot of people that say identify with being a star seed, feel like they've never belonged here, like they want to go home, but they're not really knowing where home is, homesickness. Yeah, I do believe, because there are many extraterrestrial races that do look very much like us as humans, I believe.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. I believe that there are, and I do know this one though. There are a lot of extraterrestrial races who are, how do I say this? They're higher up on the levels, which
Most
means
of them, I
like
think most of them are.
yeah, like angels and all that. They would, you know, they're like in the 9th, 10th, 12th dimension, all that stuff. A lot of the aliens are like in the 7th, 8th dimension. So the only way for us, we can't be here and then become an, I mean, we can be here and then do alien, but we are extraterrestrials. But I don't think a first, I've been told our first lives or our first experiences in the physical will never be there. This is like one of those places here where you can literally, it's like your first time you can be here. Although I do know this too, everybody on this planet right now, every single person, even the ones that I make jokes about, and I'm like, what are you just, were you just reincarnated from a squirrel? What was your thing? Everybody here is an old soul. An old soul basically means you've had many incarnations. That's what an old soul is. A soul, because all souls are literally about the same age, but it depends on how many times you come here. So I agree with you, Lorilei. There are a lot, and then the starseed thing. I've looked into some of that. There are star seeds here, but I'm also a strong believer. Is I believe in the planet was seeded. So
I know. I thought of that as I said it. And then I thought, how in depth are we going to? We need to practically do a whole show on this.
yeah,
David, it's so funny because exactly what you're saying. I was thinking as I said the word star seed, and I'm thinking, yeah, but we were seeded
well,
here.
we're
And
all
I thought, oh,
seeded
I'm not going to
anyway.
get into
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Because as from what I know, how it goes from my research, reading research, and from these guys, you know, of course, there was some sort of evolution that went on, but our DNA was changed over and over, and it's kind of like the Greys used to be almost like a human race, and then they lost their humanity. They just went straight to technology. They couldn't follow up, couldn't do nothing. They couldn't recreate their DNA anymore. They basically were just extincting themselves. So they found a way to have like the Greys, the little Greys and the tall Greys, and so for a soul to go into. Somebody had asked me, which is an interesting question, if we made AI robots that could like think and speak and do all these things, somebody asked me, do they have a soul? And I asked my guys, I'm like, do they have a soul? And they totally cut me off. They're just like, we're not going to say anything. And I'm like, that's because I know the answer then. If there is a life form that is capable of holding onto a soul that a soul can go into, a soul will do it. Why not? I mean, the trees are alive. You
Okay,
know,
so I have a different hi Jody. We got a couple of Australians here tonight, Michelle and Jody.
hi
Okay,
Jody,
so
hi everybody.
I have a different school of thought with this.
Okay.
And I've looked into a lot of this with some close intuitives, I will say, that are friends. Um, Depending on who you believe, what's going on in the world, what have you, we know that AI is out there
Yeah.
and it's becoming highly, highly, highly advanced. When you look at that, though, okay, and just studying it, you can watch interviews, you can watch all kinds of things, okay. When you watch, say, AI being interviewed, somebody that looks very human, there was one interview in particular I remember, and they were asking this, I'll say individual, it was a female, asking her many questions about how she would deal with certain things that most humans would take for granted or deal with. Now, everything I saw her answer, and it was about a 2 or 3 hour interview, it was pretty long. And she would always defer to either what she had been programmed with, what she had learned through experience by watching and experiencing, or again, what she could read or intake. Okay. So when it came to, say, an ethical decision making process, and a lot of human beings still aren't even that great at it, so we can't really fault AI. She would always defer to logic or what she had been programmed with, whereas a human being is pretty unpredictable when it comes to an ethical decision, right? Even to the fact that you go into a store, you pay for all your groceries, you get outside, and something's tucked under your bag you didn't see. Do you go back in and stand all in line? It's super busy. You know you got to be somewhere and pay the money, right? You're not going to get a standard answer with that. We know what we should do. Okay, we know that would be where AI would come in. What should be done in that situation? A human being, based on what they're experiencing in life and who they are and what they're going through, what their morals and their ethics are, you are not going to get the same answer every time. Plus, you will get people that will lie to make
Yeah.
themselves look better. Do you see where I'm going with that? So
No, I do.
that is
No, I
what they're
agree with
trying
you.
to figure out, is what I get. They are trying to
It's
figure this out. How do we get that? How do we get intuition? How do we get connection to spirit?
exactly. That's what I mean. It hasn't happened yet. I'm saying the way they're making them nowadays, eventually I think they might be able to contain the body, because we, my big thing is, I wonder if do we need flesh to contain the soul, or can the soul go into something that's not flesh? Because I mean, psychometry, I do a lot of psychometry, don't you? You do a lot of psychometry,
Absolutely.
don't you? And then psychometry, I mean, now that's energy we're seeing in the visions, but
You might
there's
have to
so
tell people what psychometry is. Some people listening, I know what it is.
if anybody doesn't know psychometry, it's basically like me taking a book or something that I found in an old store, or an
Hold
object,
it.
yeah, and I hold on to it. And as soon as I do it, some things, I'll get flashes of pictures, emotions, and everything just from holding it. Some are very strong, some are very weird. Some I get nothing from. But that's basically what psychometry is.
Yeah.
So I thought in some of that, I remember an old kettle I saw someplace. I could have swore it was speaking to me. And then I thought to myself, no, I'm just picking up energy. And I was correct. It wasn't speaking to me because it was looping in my head. You know what I'm saying? It was like a residual ghost or a residual haunting. It was just looping in my head over and over. So I don't think that that stuff is really containing anything. But I wonder if down the road we can. I am not sure.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second now. Okay, let's talk about that. We got some great questions. Stephen
Yeah.
Greer, I am so sorry. I can't help you with that, but if you'd like to, I don't know if you're talking about you're on YouTube. You'd have to talk to YouTube, because we're just streaming to YouTube from United Public Radio Network. Otherwise, I'm sorry, we can't help you. He said, why am I banned on this channel on my main account? I'm not sure. Or you could contact UFO Paranormal Radio on the Facebook page and write them and see. There's they'll get the comment and somebody can answer that for you. But anyways, what I wanted to say though, Dave, think about this. And I know there's other people in the chat that are well, I think we all have these gifts, but could you actually explain to a scientist how you connect with spirit? How you have intuition, how you connect with that? I know I couldn't. I have an idea, but I couldn't tell you the mechanics behind it. And I know you take a room full of us and none of us will do it identically. None of us will.
I agree. I agree with that. None of us, there is no medium who does it identically. There are some things we do. It depends on who taught you and what you're jiving with and everything else. Me and Lorilei will always tell people, when you're studying something in the spiritual, make sure you study from a whole lot of different people.
Yes, always.
Instead of just
Always.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of just one. But anyway,
okay, we got some great comments. Yes, Jody, isn't that amazing? Yes, that's, now you know what it's called, psychometry. You can do it with pictures. I want to tell you a very quick story, then I'm going to get to Michelle's comment because it's great. I call her my adopted daughter. She lives in Sardinia. She is one of my moderators in one of my groups. I connected with her. She had seen her episode on Paranormal Survivor, and you just know when you pick up somebody's really good energy. Anyways, she was helping from Sardinia, Italy. She has never been to Canada, but from seeing a picture of one of the kittens we had, somebody had adopted it and it had gotten out. She was able to take Google Maps just from touching the picture and be able to show the intersection in the house where that cat was at. She's never
Oh,
been here.
that's cool.
That's how talented she is with
That's like
psychology.
is that a form of remote view?
No, she didn't remote view. It was from looking at the
Oh,
picture.
she had the map in her hand.
I
Got
gave her
you.
the picture, so she touched the picture and she knew where she was looking. She knows I live in Thunder Bay, so she probably looked at a map, but she was given the names of the streets. So she knew what the names of the streets were, and she kept describing the house. So when we went to Google Earth, and we were able between the two of us, but she basically figured it out where the kitten was. So it wasn't remote viewing, because that's a different thing. And I agree that would be a simpler way, and I'm sure she can remote view. But so Michelle had a good comment. You want to read it, Dave? I forgot. I'm going to stream us over to
Michelle Pett, and I'm actually doing a little research right now because
Oh, are you? Well, do your research then. I can talk while we're doing this. Okay, so okay, Michelle, we're going to get to your comment. Okay, this is okay. Stephen Greer, you banned someone that shares yeah, like I said, Stephen, you're not Stephen Greer, but you're on his team, I see. I'm so sorry. Feel free to join in though. We're having an interesting conversation. You've just joined in if you just tuned in to the thing at the foot of the bed. I am one of the co-hosts, Lorilei Potvin. I'm also a host on my own show Monday nights here with the Angel Rock, and my amazing good friend and co-host, David Hanzel. So we talk about the weird, the strange, the amazing, the unexplainable, and we'd love to have you, as you can see here in the comments, be part of the conversation if you've got something you want to share or questions or what have you. So yeah, so I guess the question Michelle asked, or she mentioned, it's sort of a statement, I think, but weren't dolls made for the soul to go to when passing?
They were, and that's what I'm trying to look up. There's a belief system out there where I know a lot of times they will try to trap the soul in a doll, or there's also been a lot of movies and so that they made about that, horror movies, of course, because
where do you want to start with the dolls and horror movies?
Yeah, everybody wants to do a doll in the horror movie. But I don't know. I don't think.
I think it's based on your culture and your belief system, because there's so many different beliefs about where the soul goes or how to release the soul or what. Depends. Some people think you open a window. Some people think you stop the clocks and you put cloths up on the windows and things like that. And again, I don't think it's for a place for the soul to go. But I think actually covering the mirrors, there was some theory, don't quote me on it, but I think they were concerned that the soul could pass through a portal instead of going the way it meant to go, to cross over to where it was meant to go in the afterlife. Have you heard that before, Dave?
Yeah, I've heard that they tried to trap souls in jewelry. They tried to. I mean, I can't speak a lot about it, you guys, and the reason is because I'm not going to sit and make it up. So if I don't know it, I don't know it. But I have heard that, Michelle. I'll later on. I will look it up, and we'll maybe talk about that later on.
I want to comment on Neil. I know you're talking to Stephen Greer, but
okay,
I want to read your comment because I'm going to share something with you. You said I could use any recommendations. I have one vividly clear memory from the age of 3 seeing. I think you're talking about an owl, you said, and a silver being, but I suspect possibly more. Okay, what I'm going to tell you. Have you ever heard of Mike Cleland? C as in cat, L as in lion, ELLEAN as in Nancy, D as in Daniel. Look him up. He talks a lot about owls and seeing UFOs and extraterrestrials and stuff. See if anything he's talking about may resonate with you.
Yeah, I agree that owls do have a lot to do with us.
Yeah, they do.
And they do.
He is fascinating. You can't believe the amount of people I've asked if they've ever run across his work, and they all say, no, who's that? Same as Dr. Stephen Greer. Yes, I've run into a lot of his stuff. A friend of mine, Dan Willis, why the secret space program will still remain secret. And I've watched he put that out, I believe in the summertime finally, when you guys were testifying. I think it was, let me get my numbers right. I think it was May the 6th, 2002 at the New York Press Club. You were all testifying under oath, and you were willing to go to Congress to bring forth I guess everybody's evidence they had to the existence at that time, I believe, of 57 different types of extraterrestrials. at that time. It should have been worldwide disclosure, and that's not what happened.
Neil, I can sympathize with that memory. I also have, when I was younger, I actually had a being. It's almost as he stepped out into a hallway of the house that I was at the time as a child, and it's like time stopped. Everything stopped except for the being that was in front of me, and he just nodded, and he was cool. And people freak out because he was. I didn't know what a reptilian was when I was 4 or 5 years old. Never heard of it before in my life. But this person was very lizard-like. It was human body, but very lizard-like. And he was not a lot of expression. Not a lot of expression.
Yeah, but you weren't afraid of it when we talked about it.
No, that was the whole thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That any other 5 or 6 year old who saw that step out into the hallway and time stopped would have freaked out. But I didn't. I was almost like, hello. It's kind of cool. But I remembered him ever since, and I've always wanted to go under to see what would happen. But I also kind of feel if he wanted me to know more, he probably would get here.
I want to know. I've been looking here up in Canada because I have missing time. So I have a mother with Rh negative blood, red hair, green eyes, does not believe in this kind of stuff that you and I do and what we're talking about, makes fun of people that do the stuff that we do. Yet here we are, me sitting, I've told this story many times. Dave and I both have of what we believe to be extraterrestrial experiences, where at the time when we lived in a really haunted house, previous home to this, and I'd had very little sleep, and I lived in the city my whole life. I know the city very well. I used to be a community visiting nurse around the city, so I know every shortcut, everything. Blinked my eyes. I was going to the store 2 minutes away. And when I open them, my phone is ringing. My car's in the opposite direction. I am miles away in front of a building in the opposite direction to the way I was going, and I have no idea where I am. Like literally, and I believe there was an hour and a half gone. So
and it sucks to tell people because people just don't want to believe us. Mm-hmm. In COVID, it was 2020 or 2021, I think it was. That was the year, 2021, right after COVID. When I lived at my other house before this one, I was for a long time, I was going to bed and then waking up knowing I was someplace else. And it's the weirdest feeling. It's such a mind scramble when you wake up and you're like, where was I just now? I had perfect
sleep.
Sleep.
Okay, so you know the other dream that I had? You want to hear this week? Yeah. Like, I don't normally remember my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a room full of people. Couple of fellow intuitive friends were with me, and we were doing some kind of presentation showing how we were able to create actual teleportation portals, if you will, like literally just by going like this and going through them and taking off, then reappearing. I have no idea why I had this dream. I don't have dreams like this. It wasn't a crazy dream with a bunch of symbology. It was literally like I was in a room, whether it was in the future, different timeline, I'm not sure, but those are the type of dreams I've been having this week. Because normally when we have dreams, right, a lot of times we get a lot of symbology and things. These were so precise, and so like I literally was in the room interacting with people, having a conversation, the whole bit. Crazy.
Then I'm going to tell you something, and you guys listen to this. Lorilei, I don't know if I told you this one, Lorilei.
Okay.
When it was, I think Sandra might have known. I don't remember if I told Sandra or not. I had what I thought was a dream, and maybe it still was. I don't know. But because I went to bed, and then when I woke up, all this happened. I went into this building, and it was like a city building, but it was different. But I took an elevator up by myself to this floor, and when I stepped out, there was a long like bench type couch, and then there was like it looked like an escalator almost, but it wasn't, on my right. Okay. And this being walked up to me, and he started, he said, "Are you ready now?" And I said, "Ready for what?" And he goes, "Let's go upstairs." Now this guy was darker skin. He almost looked of African descent, but he wasn't African, but he had darker skin.
Okay.
And he didn't have hair. And down the middle of his head and across his eyes and under here, there were like, you remember the candy dots?
Yes.
It was
That's
like
what it looked like.
yeah, it was like he had dots on here and here.
Oh my
but they
God,
weren't
David, I
colorful.
can almost see him from what you're describing. Like literally, I don't know if you're sending out that picture in your mind or what, but I can see him.
Yeah, I'm trying to stare at it right now. But this gentleman was really cool. And he was going to take me upstairs and I am to this day, I'm kind of pissy that I didn't go up the escalator with him because I sat there and I said, I don't know if I'm ready yet. And then beings kept walking by me that were not humans, smiling and saying hi. And they're like, are you coming up? Are you coming? It's almost like you're coming to the party. And I'm like, no, I don't know.
Okay, but I want to stop you there just for 1 second and ask you
Mhm.
something and see what your thoughts are on this. Okay, so you said I don't know and you weren't ready, and now you, like you said, you're feeling very annoyed that you felt like you should have said yes.
Yeah.
But what if, and I believe this happens in life, that when we have a missed opportunity for whatever reason, we're not sure, maybe there's some, whatever it may be, right? I believe that if we're meant to experience it or it's meant to happen, you are going to be presented with that opportunity again.
Yeah, it's going to. I was presented with the opportunity, but I didn't take it. I don't, and I think like pissed now, but I think at the time, I'm like, I'm not sure. But anyway, the gentleman had been around a few times afterwards. I can't tell. He was probably, if anybody knows of this type of extraterrestrial, he was probably about 6'3". He was thin with a muscular build. He was dressed quite nice and his clothes were quite fitted. And he was darker skinned, but he looked kind of human, except he was like almost like that first guy. He had those little bumps on his head, almost like he was like dinosaurus or reptilianish like. But
Hi, Robin.
he was totally cool. And I haven't because I haven't asked him to come back yet, and I probably will one day. I'm just, I'm sure somebody will just, I'll get the go ahead, like to ask again. But those things happen a lot. I know when people are talking about UFOs here, it's surprising how many people have had encounters with extraterrestrials, either seeing them, thinking about them. Right now, mine is very mind to mind. So it's like they're just not even bothering me with like showing themselves anymore. It's just spoken,
Hmm.
Other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, but I
It's
think that
cool.
they communicate telepathically, right? So there's no need for
Yeah.
speech, which
And
takes so long.
maybe they don't show up anymore because maybe it might scare me. I don't know. I don't have any theories on it. I just
I feel like that it will come again. All you have to do is ask, and that if you feel that when you're ready and you ask, that it will happen again. So should we talk about our topic tonight and see how that goes? Or if you guys want to stay on this topic, we can. I said hi to Robin because he says, hey, Lorilei. Hi, David. That's Haffern Paranormal. And you guys, Dave, I thought it was a great idea what you came up with. Do you want to introduce it, where we're going with it? Because one of them is my pet peeve when it comes to orbs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I was talking to Laurie today, and I thought about the whole. Hi, Ed Odell. Is
Hi,
paranormal
Howie.
is paranormal investigations. Now, a lot of people call them ghost hunting, and I guess that's okay. I don't refer to it as ghost hunting anymore because I'm like, I don't know. I don't like hunt anything. But the paranormal investigations, and I've been on plenty of them, as so is Laura Lee. And the first thing we both want to talk about, and we're not saying this to make anybody angry or anything, but it's just to give you education because knowledge really is power. Is the whole orb thing. I have person after person after person. This is my favorite one. I'm going to start out with a funny one, just so you guys know. This person gave me it was in black and white. The camera was on the floor. She said, "Watch the dogs. There's orbs everywhere. There's orbs everywhere." So I'm looking at it and I'm like, literally, there's like 25 of these things going through, and she's got them circled and all that. And then, because my guides talk to me all the time, they go, ask her about the fan on the ceiling. And I was like, oh, I wrote her back and I said, do you have a fan on the ceiling? She goes, yeah. I said, do you have the full video? Yeah, the fan was on the ceiling. So you can tell it was dust. I mean, it was dust and this one was out. It wasn't orbs at all. I've seen real orbs, and the orbs I've seen, one, an orb makes its own illumination, which means you should be able to see the orb with the naked eye, not just on the camera, because it's got something, it's got energy in it that shines out where dust
I
will
have
reflect.
seen some orbs on camera because I wanted to
Well, no,
add
you can see them on
is
camera, but I'm
there's
saying
no
they give
such
off their
thing.
own light force.
Well, there's no such thing. David Howie, that's what we call him. He had to change his Facebook profile because somebody hijacked it. He couldn't get it back. Poor Howie. So he said he sent you a friend request. So, okay, so there's some criteria for orbs because we're not saying that orbs don't exist. And what I always say, and I
Well,
don't
they
make fun of
do.
people because we all begin at the beginning. Neither was David, by the way. But what the reason I preface this with what I'm about to say, I can usually tell where somebody is in their paranormal journey, knowledge seeking, answer seeking, if you will, by where they are with orbs. I have to profess that many, many years ago, wasn't for long because I started researching it, but I too got very excited. So I'm very skeptical about orbs. If you can see it with the naked eye, yes. I tried to find, I had a whole bunch of stuff in my Paranormal University group. Now, some of the links still work, some don't. Great examples. There was a video in there showing examples of what they felt were very much examples of orbs. Now, some of the things that I've changed my mind about and why I say you can see them on camera
Yeah, you
is,
can.
say you've got, and we're going to get into this EVP session going with a ghost box or whatever, right? And you've got some communication and then you're filming and it looks like there's things zooming around or one or two things zooming around and all of a sudden something falls off the shelf or something. So again, I can't say with 100% certainty that it's a real verified orb, but the probability goes up a lot for me with the interaction we're having with the EVPs, with something falling off the shelf just before we see an orb going by. Does that, would you, anything to add to that, Dave?
No, I agree with that. I mean, you can see the orbs on camera. I'm saying in real life, you should be able to see it.
Oh, yeah.
They make their own thing. As far as like the Stephen Greer talking about that, I know CE5. When people do the CE5, a lot of people will see orbs too. Orbs tend to show up with that as well, and I'm not sure what that is, but I think that's really cool that they would be attached to that as well.
You might have to
You
read that, Dave, because there's going to be people. I will remind people because I get a lot of people saying afterwards, "Oh my gosh, I missed the show live." That's okay. There's always a replay. It's always on YouTube. It's going to be on Facebook as well. The video. Every
know,
single show on our network is like that. And then wherever podcasts or talk radio is carried, our archives are there. So if you can think of it, we're on it, including Roku. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry, you were saying something.
no, that's okay.
Do you want to read what you were talking about?
No, that's okay. The orbs that are there.
I wanted to highlight it though, because there's going to be people that are going to
Oh yeah,
hear
go
it.
ahead. Go ahead.
Is this what you were talking about?
All kinds of like electromagnetic. No, but I was reading that. But if I did, I don't know if that was true. Is if anybody out here has done CE5, have you guys experienced orbs during your CE5?
You might have to tell people what CE5 is too, because a lot of people may not know.
It's heaven paranormal. CE5 is where we initiate contact with the other beings instead of the other way around, and it's done through different meditations. There's a whole really cool on the. I have the app for
I
CE5.
have the app too, and it's like a
Yeah,
collective, isn't it? That people
yeah,
get together from around the world.
yep, and I love.
Leah just asked, what is CE5? I knew there would be people that wouldn't know.
Not just Stephen Greer describes CE5.
Well, it's not Stephen.
It's Close
somebody that
Encounters
works
of the
with them.
Fifth Kind.
Yeah.
Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind is us initiating the contact and letting
Robin
people
gave
know.
us a good example of orbs. I'm going to stop you right there. Joshua, if you're asking, we know his volume's really low. We're going to have to get him, remind David to sit closer again.
Yeah,
If you're
all
asking
right,
what's her
so
name and you mean me, my name is Lorilei. It's spelled very strange. If you can't remember, I tell people call me Lor, Lor. I don't know, Dave. Yeah, because people are saying they can't hear you too well. So And Robin gave us a great example of what orbs are. So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Now, can everybody hear me better? I put headphones on now.
that's way better.
Is it? Got
Yeah.
you. But anyway, it's CE5. It's us connecting to them. It's us initiating the contact. And I think I want to do a bunch of those sessions because part of it is doing remote viewing. So it's actually meditating on your exact coordinates of where you are so they can find you. And I love that because of the fact I know how to do that. So I'm very excited to try that out in the field.
There's an app too, Leah, that'll help you connect with communities from around the world. And I know I've seen them set up certain times and places to focus energy to hopefully initiate some type of interaction or connection too with extraterrestrials or UFOs and things like that. We're kind of jumping all over here. Let's read what Robin's. I thought this was a great comment. Do you want me to read it, Dave?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Robin, who does paranormal investigating, he's over in the UK. And so he's given us, and I think a really great explanation of how to tell if an orb is more than likely an orb versus dust or an insect or something else. So he said if there's a single light anomaly, if it goes to the spirit box and there's an instant response, I agree with this. If it goes to somebody's head and that person touches that area, etc., then yes, to me, lots at the same time. And then he said, or it could, if it's dust or clearly with wings and insect. I'm trying to read this. I think we missed something. To me, lots at the same time. Okay, he's talking about lots of orbs at the same time. Yes, dust or clearly with wings or an insect. Like Dave, you started this out with, ask if she had a ceiling fan, or I have seen people, bless their hearts, have taken their blankets and flipped them and then are filming with night vision going, oh my gosh, my room is full of orbs. And that's the problem too with night vision. I learned that with our cameras, security cameras in the previous home. It would literally look like nothing would record with the activity we had in our house. So we had a monitor downstairs. It would look like a blizzard outside, like barely able to see. Go outside and it would just be a light mist. Like you could see everything. So they really magnify things. And like, that's where I was going with that, Robin, but you said it beautifully. That if it's a light that you see, a light anomaly, and there's some kind of reaction or activity that shows up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. If an actual orb is intelligent, which means it can do things. I had a lady send me her baby. She didn't send me her baby. She sent me a baby monitor photo. A video of her baby, and I said, David, could you please tell me if this is what's happening? I seen like one which I thought was an orb, but the strange thing I saw were rods. Have you saw the rods? They're like little teeny tiny ovals. They're like little rods, and they can be mistaken for bugs. A lot of those rods are bugs, but I was looking at it and it just kept circling and going around the child. And so I said, I'm going to, for the hell of it, see if I can connect to it. And the only thing I got was that they were watching and protecting, and that's all it was. So I don't know who belonged to that orb, but I told her that's what I got. And I told her, if you ask them to stop, they may. So go ahead and ask. And she wrote me back a day later and said, I asked them to stop. And I said, did it? And she said, yes, it stopped. And I said, well, when you're comfortable again, invite them back if you want.
Yeah.
But I thought
if something's protecting your child and there's no ill effect. And that's the first thing I always ask people. We do have Howie or Ed O'Dell does paranormal investigation. I know he does. He's very knowledgeable as well. I always ask people when they send a request such as what you just shared, David, is how does it make you feel? What do you feel? What's the baby doing when this is happening?
Exactly.
And are there any pets in the home? What are the pets doing? But usually we can tell. And that was the one thing that was the hardest for me to remember when dealing with people with the paranormal. First thing to ask them, rather than jumping to conclusions, how did it make you feel?
Yeah, that's what I always tell people too. When they ask me to like decipher their dreams, I'm like, well, how did the dream make you feel? What were the colors? What was the emotion? What was all this? And most people say, oh, I don't know. I saw a clown eating pizza. Okay, well, when you have that dream again, then just go ahead and pick it up. It's the same with orbs. Like what I saw with the child, it was not disrupting the child. The child wasn't moving except for normal baby stuff that the baby would do in bed. So
So the baby wasn't in any distress.
no, the baby was fine, and that's why I said I thought I'm going to ask to see what it was, and it just says we're keeping an eye out and protecting. And when she asked them to go away, they did. And then I told her, since they're cool and if you're comfortable, ask them to come back. And I'm sure they're probably, if they were here to watch that child, they're still watching that child.
That's what I was thinking. They just backed off so they
yeah,
can't.
they just,
Well, let's read Howie's comments, because he's added to the orb thing. He said, as well as weather effects of the atmosphere, also orbs may also be what is called a static electro cloud. It's like a small thunderstorm.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Then he says, oh, go ahead, David.
No, go ahead. Let's finish reading that.
Oh, he also added, in a home, it's human dander, pet dander, spices from the kitchen, dust and insulation blown from inside the walls, all those things. But I have seen orbs who I'm really thinking about right now, and they're not big on orbs. They're not cramming them down people's throats, are the Foreman brothers with Paranormal Nightmare. Now, the reason why I like these guys, they were going around on their own dime for years before they got a TV show, and they mainly focus on residential issues with people, and they're there to help people. But so they film, so they're not sitting there with the camera going, oh, there's an orb, there's an orb. But you can see, like, say they're not in the room, and you see one or two light anomalies float by, and all of a sudden something big happens, like there's a noise or something flies off. Now, again, am I saying with 100% certainty? No, but the likelihood definitely goes up for me watching something like that, when you see something go by the camera and then you see some type of action right afterwards.
Yeah, it's cool. And in some, I've seen people have pictures of orbs and you can actually detect a face in it. And it's not that parodontia or whatever it's called. You can actually see the face. So orbs are real, and I do believe, I don't say this on TikTok because people would freak out. I think of, like, during my near-death experience where I went like into this part, it was like the void, and I said I was talking to the angels. They were points of light, like orbs. So it kind of made me wonder if somebody's crossing over the boundaries to come here, would they show up as an orb? Because an orb is energy, and we are energy. So maybe we take that round form. That's kind of what I feel it sometimes. I feel it.
You guys have got so many great comments. I'm going all over the place, so I got to highlight this one. So Howie added, yes, talking about what you were talking about. He goes, yes, rod and spike balls. I have seen the spike balls.
I haven't seen the spike balls yet.
Okay, so Joshua added a few things for us here. Guys, you all got great comments here. So Joshua, welcome. And he says, I studied palmistry, numerology, and astrology. This led to the discovery that religious symbolism is often actual palmistry markings. Interesting. The Eye of Horus / Ra and Ankh are both palmistry markings. Ooh, I want to know more about that.
That's funny that you're talking about that. I just brought in my book outside. It's the Book of Psychic Symbols. And yes.
Oh, yes. David's got me hooked on that. I want that thing so bad. Is that the dictionary you're talking about?
No, that's something different. This one's just called the Book of Psychic Symbols.
I think I've got one here. I'm not the one you do. I've got one on unicorns. And where did I put it? I grabbed another one. I'm always picking up books because you love to build a library with this.
Yeah, and then which it's in here, and I will look it up.
That's the book I want. I have book envy.
You guys, anybody, this is a great book for anybody in the spiritual world, including paranormal researchers, UFO researchers, and everything. This book is awesome. I wanted to tell us to transition a little bit while we have a second.
Okay, one more thing to add with Josh. I was going to just tack on. He said, this is important to you since aliens supposedly gave Egypt all of their knowledge. And I would agree with you about that. Okay, go ahead, Dave. You wanted to transition a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. But I also agree with that comment. I believe a lot of the stuff that we have came from someplace else. It wasn't by human, and it wasn't divine thought. It wasn't divine inspiration. It was actually given to us by other races. Somebody had mentioned earlier about if an orb goes near its spirit box and everything. So I wanted to talk about spirit boxes for a moment. So for those of you who don't know what a spirit box is, I don't know the technical terms because I leave the paranormal investigations like that up to the experts who do this all the time. But it's basically a contraption a contraption. I sound like an old man. It's about
I've got ghost tube on here. Ghost tube
yeah.
box.
The
There's
only thing is, I
necrophonicon. I know who will be able to tell us. Howie or Robin will be able to tell us.
I found too many times. I don't use any iPhone spirit boxes at all. I don't. I don't. There's probably some out there that are good, but most of the ones that I found and I put them through and I tested them, the real ones, they all had key trigger words that were programmed in there, and the key trigger words were murder, death, get out, all this other stuff. It was over and over and over machine. Thank you, Joshua Benjamin. Joshua Benjamin says it's an old school answer machine which works as a spirit box. I've had messages that would terrify.
This I think is the best. I wasn't planning on it. I'm going to grab it when you're talking. But go ahead.
So a long time ago, back with orbs, I was with another medium.
I don't know why, because it's probably not charged. But go ahead, Dave.
Okay, so I was with another medium, and we were doing an investigation in Virginia. And we were the only ones in this. It was a plantation. We were the only ones in there until the next day. The owners just said, "You guys, go in this one room and stay there." We had a little fireplace, but we had a ghost box and a ghost spirit box. This was one. It's just attached to like random white noise and words you can hear once in a while. It's almost like if you went between two stations on the radio. But this is the first time that I had used the spirit box myself, and I didn't have much. I didn't really, at the time, I didn't really think they were that credible until something happened to me to prove me wrong. And
I'm trying to find this recorder I have that's awesome. I found it.
Okay, so I'm in this room with.
It's in here. You know when I'll find it after I go off air, probably.
Hold on. Wait a second. I'll wait till she's done.
Because I was going to tell those guys about the different types of EVPs that we can get to, because that's one thing that drives me nuts is EVPs and people saying, "Oh my God, I got this great EVP," and you can't understand it unless somebody's telling you what it is, or you're wearing headphones cranked on 1000. I have some EVPs from my previous home that I swear to God to you are class A+++++, in a conversation that would blow your mind. So I don't know, Dave, have you looked at, because you can get all different classes depending on how clear they are. And
she doesn't know I was talking. Okay, hold on.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm laughing the ways I'm digging for this thing. I'm going to give up.
Okay. So anyway, so me and this other medium, she was also medium. We were
talk. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm coming to sit down because I'm going to find this.
Hold on, everybody, just a second. She probably doesn't know that I'm still speaking.
I can't find it. Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. Okay, you back? Okay, I'll start over.
You know what I was looking for quickly is the handheld recorders, and you've seen them on ghost shows and stuff. I have one. It is in there. Do you think I could find it? No, I bet you after we're finished, I'll go, "Oh, there it is." So I apologize. Go ahead, Dave.
I have one of those too, and I don't know if mine's here. Oh, but anyway,
so are we, Joshua. So are we.
So I'm in this room in this plantation. Nobody was in there, and we had this spirit box, which was literally a made spirit box. She made this spirit box that just had the white noise. There wasn't any pre-programmed words in there like on the phone ones. No pre-programmed words that were in there.
The ones I like.
Yeah, it was just a white noise. Anyway, so we're in our meditation states and all this other stuff, and we both felt something. It was all quiet. We were just listening to that, and we turned down the white noise. And my friend says to me, "Do you feel that?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "I feel like there's like this room is just full of spirits right now." And we couldn't see them. It was in the dark. So she said, "How many spirits are there?" And the voice came through on there, and it said 4. So we're like, "Okay, 4." Now, there's a little background. She had a friend that died. I had 2 friends that died, and my brother who had passed just a couple months before this. She said there's 4 people, and then I was just being a jerk, and I said, "Okay, if there's 4 of you, Who are you? What are your names? Plain as day. It went Greg, Dan, Kevin, Kirk. Kirk was her friend who had died a couple of years ago. Dan and that other one were friends of mine. And then my brother was Kevin. Those four names came out clear as freaking day. And we actually shut it off and said, okay, this is weird. But we knew that we felt stuff all the time. So ever
Well, what
since,
I was trying to say, I didn't realize you were talking.
that's okay.
I apologize.
Oh, no.
There's different classes of EVPs, and it drives me nuts when people say, "Oh, I got this amazing EVP," and then they use a ghost box that has so much reverb and echo, like it's so hard to tell, even if you put your headphones in, unless someone's telling you. I will tell you, I have what is called a Class A, meaning really super clear. I would call it Class A plus 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 EVP. That's about 6 minutes. I called into my friend's show. Howie, you know who this is. He's a good friend of ours, Jason Bland, Paranormal Soup. Check him out Sunday nights on YouTube and Facebook. He's got great guests. He had his annual Halloween show, and I wasn't planning on calling in. This was back in 2017, and I called from the most active part of my house. I used to call into his show every week, and there's all kinds of video stuff that was going on in the background. This thing is so clear, and it's a whole conversation. It calls Jason by name in this. It sounds like something that you would think would come from Slytherin, almost like a snake hissy voice, and they're all freaking out because I came the last 5 minutes, I thought, of the show. I didn't know they had an extra half hour because it was Halloween. I was actually watching a memorial concert for Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park, and I went, oh crap, I forgot about Paranormal Soup. So I was the last caller of the night, so they didn't know I was calling, and they couldn't get, first of all, the app to turn off by the end of it. But at the beginning, they were freaking out. You can see on the video, they're going, this thing didn't do anything all night long. And it starts this voice coming through going, I'm searching. Yes, I can see you, and all this stuff. Really creepy, wispy type of gravelly voice. And then something comes through. To this day, nobody has been able to figure out what it is. We don't know if it's in reverse. We don't know if it's in a foreign language or a dead language, but it's a different voice. It's a man's voice, and it basically goes, I can't say what it said, but it's the weirdest thing. People start freaking out going, where did that come from? Where did that come from? This thing went on for like 6+ minutes, and they almost couldn't get it to turn off. Like, I don't know where that came from, what was there. It did not identify itself, but it was clear. Believe me.
That's why I like spirit boxes a little better than the little devices. It's what she was talking about before. I've got one. It's a little like handheld. It's almost like it doesn't have a tape in it, but you just press a button and it turns on. You just ask a question, and then so for EVPs, I've got this little device. It's like a little handheld, record your voice recorder.
That's what I was looking for. The little old time ones that you can't find anymore. And
I've got two of them someplace here. I've used them before. The thing that I don't like about EVPs, like a lot of times EVPs won't be heard by the people. They show up on the tape later. They show up later. So I have learned very quickly, if I am using one to do an investigation, I will turn it on and I will say, is anybody here? And that's all. And then I let it go for a couple of minutes, because I've seen so many people go, are you here? Did you murder people?
I know.
Are you stuck? Why aren't you talking to me? No. And then they'll start yelling. It's like, shut up. But I had the strangest EV, and I got it. I can send it to anybody who wants to hear it. I was doing a gallery reading. Gallery reading is basically when I go in front of a whole bunch of people and just talk to dead people for them. That's pretty much it. I was doing a gallery reading with somebody, and the woman in the front row, the other medium got done talking to her. And right after she got done talking to her, I had to ask her, I said, hon, did you have a bird when you were a little girl? And she goes, yes. And I said, were you 13? And her mom was sitting next to her, and she goes, yes, she was 13 when she had this bird. And I said, okay, I just need to give you a message. The bird loves you, said thank you for everything you've done. And this was a long time ago. Now, one of my friends who was a paranormal investigator at this asylum that we were at makes this video. He was recording our entire, we gave him permission to record the entire event. Okay, it's very quiet in the room. It's either just me talking or the other medium talking to the people. No other sounds. He plays back his EVP, and is right. I just started talking about her bird, and on the EVP, you can hear birds squawking, and there were no birds in that room. He's got it on. They were freaking out. He's like, "Oh my God, dude was talking about birds. Now there's birds in the background." I thought it was the coolest thing, and that does happen with EVPs.
Okay, so let's stop there for a sec, Dave. Let's stop there for a sec.
Mhm.
Howie, you're still here, right? What about a couple weeks ago when we were having all those audio things and stuff? Howie, you said, "Oh my gosh, is this show archived? Because I want to go back and listen and see what came through." Remember? That would be electronic voice phenomena while we were live. Remember, Dave? There was all kinds of stuff. It was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was weird.
So I will tell you, I have done shows like with my previous co-host Seraphine and I. She collected haunted items and stuff. We would get EVPs all the time, and it wasn't like whether we were on this network, we were on our previous network, it was without rhyme or reason. And you'd go back, you'd hear it, or people would report that they would hear it. Now, that's always fascinated me, and I understand that human ears can't hear at the decibel levels that, say, a dog or a cat or obviously spirit can communicate with, but it always fascinates me how electronic devices can pick up what we can't hear and even see sometimes too.
Yeah, it is cool. Those are my favorite. The only thing I have against EVPs when somebody puts them like on a video, like you said earlier, they'll play the EVP and they will write the words under it. Now, I personally, whenever that happens, I personally discount the EVP because of the fact when you read the words, everything's going to sound like it. If you're on TikTok, there's that red pill, blue pill, that's red this, red that. It's whatever you're going to look at. So I don't EVPs kind of get really weird for me when they do that. I thought that if you have an EVP and you hear it, if you have a control group of maybe 5 to 10 people and you just play it for them and say, write down what you heard, play this for that, write down what you heard, and then go through and see if everybody heard the same thing. Because most
people that's the problem, Dave, is I find, right, is unless it's something like a class A, people, you got to wear headphones usually, and it's almost like the game of telephone. You very rarely get people, you will sometimes get a consensus, okay? But the other thing that I love doing, and I don't do it on purpose, but because I listen with headphones all the time while I'm listening to something, I can't tell you the amount of live recorded shows, and it's not even necessarily paranormal. It could be, it's usually paranormally type themed or something like that. EVPs that you pick up with your headphone that maybe weren't there when they were listening, or they just didn't catch it, or what. Have you found that yourself?
Yeah, sometimes I get that. I get that quite a bit. EVPs are always weird to me. I usually hear things though, and I don't know why, not always, but if I go to places, sometimes they will talk about an EVP, or I'll actually hear the thing. Nobody else did. I heard it. I got to the point when that happens, I start writing it down. That way, when somebody says I have an EVP, I can hold up my piece of paper and go, that EVP is correct, because I heard the same thing with my own ears or in my head. I heard that all the time. Not that I'm great for that. I'm just saying, when you are psychically connected throughout your life, you do pick up on those energies a little easier. So
you wanted to talk about this too, because I get lots of questions, and I know you had lots this week about basically the equipment and things that people use in paranormal investigations, right? Because I think you'd asked me also when we were talking about what K2 meters do.
Yeah, K2 electromagnetic EMF meters. I know EMF meters, I've learned from other paranormal investigators, and I've looked it up too. If there's a high, if they can pick up like a bad electric break in your house. So a lot of people say, oh, I go in this corner and I feel paranoid and I feel really terrible and all these things. There's got to be a demon in there.
Someone's watching me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then someone will go up there with an EF meter and go, no, there's like all kinds of bad wiring in this house. And that's what they're picking up from that. Now, that doesn't have happen all the time, but it happens more times
Well, they
than
pick up,
not.
well, that's what you should do as a good paranormal investigator. Say you're doing something residential, or even,
Hmm.
in a place I found, like, say it's a bar or something, and people are always saying, whenever we go in this room, we always feel like we're being watched. We feel nauseous. We feel dizzy. You just don't feel right, or whatever. And I think it's always prudent to go in with an EMF meter and check to see, because you can tell by the readings if there's a large collection of even pipes or electrical stuff. Also, you can pick it up by the energy
Yep.
frequency signal that it's giving off. And then that's one of the ways to start to try to debunk, because I think as a paranormal investigator, we have to go in while being, obviously respectful and hearing what people's experiences are and why maybe they've asked you to be there. But I know for myself, I have a questionnaire and I tell them, please don't be offended. I ask everybody this, but do you have any medical conditions? Do you have any history of mental illness? Medications you may be on? Because all these things can contribute. I also think that we have to go in with an open mind and be objective, but we also have to be willing to debunk or try to debunk what we
Yeah.
find or what we're hearing or what we're seeing, or can we is it recreatable or what? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think in paranormal investigations, the first thing we should be doing is trying to debunk something. Not that because we're cynical or anything, but just because of the fact we want that real proof. We really want it. So when I can't get hold of anything, I think it's kind of cool. I was reading in these comments, they're talking about UFOs.
Well, we have to be a little careful. I was reading that we can talk about this. This is what everybody still wants to talk about. We can talk about UFOs, but some of the topics that we've mentioned here, we have to be a little careful. I will tell you, Stephen Greer, that you missed the beginning of the show because David and I started out with a video that I sent him. I don't know if she's still here, because one of the girls sent it to me that was in the chat earlier, about a certain individual that was very strange looking, caught at the, let's say, legal proceedings of a previous US leader. We're just being careful with being on YouTube here. And at first I saw it and I thought, okay, I guess. Yeah, you got low set ears, no hair. And then the narrator was going, watch the eyes, watch the eyes. The eyes were crazy as F. Then I found the second part of the video because it came off of TikTok. That was the one that creeped me out the most, because the narrator continued to say that he knows we're filming him. He knows we're aware of him. And you get all these security guards and these guys all standing there so you can't see the bald guy. And apparently there was a lot of individuals that look very much like this individual. All of a sudden he pops out, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to create fear or conspiracy, with the creepiest, most icky, creepy smile, leering like, and pop back in. Freaked me right
Yeah,
out.
I did. There's Joshua Benjamin that has a question. Although Joshua, you probably won't like my answer, but
Okay,
um,
where are we going? Where's this question? Is it at the bottom? Or?
Joshua Benjamin at the bottom. It
Okay.
says live topic statement. All right. Live topic statement. I've seen the dead return as resurrected spirits. That's what ghosts are. It is my belief they are the ones caught on electronic recordings. The dead don't leave. No one reincarnates. I have to. That one I know for sure. That one I know in the heart of all hearts. That one I know. Yes, we do reincarnate.
I
There,
respectfully
there's
disagree.
nobody stuck between worlds, not reincarnating and just talking. That's that one I do know, and I only know that because of the near-death experiences, those things that I've had. I've seen that and I know it. But the first part of your statement is really quite interesting, because when you see the dead return as resurrected spirits, well, if we take the word dead out of it, because nobody's really dead, but if you look at it from my point of view, if you don't go all the way over, like you leave here and for whatever reason, whatever the reason is, you're staying between the two places, those are the ones who I think are picked up on EVPs and electronic stuff. Those are the ones I do. Because most spirits who are all the way over, who are not in between or in the astral world, they tend to come through a different way. They tend not to, how do I say it? One, they're not negative ever. The negative spirits are between the worlds. And yes, I'll admit to that. I'll tell people, no, I don't delve in that area. But in the astral world, between here or and the other side, or what some people might consider purgatory or something like that, I think that's where like some bad things can be. And
Okay,
I
I
think
want to
they can
answer
be,
this question. Go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. No, add to it. Yeah.
Okay, Joshua, you shared my dad died and was around for about 15 hours before leaving my house. He's currently down the alley from a house I grew up in. He's still here. First of all, I want to express my deepest condolences for your loss. Now, I believe I've also had a near-death experience as a toddler. As a nurse, I've studied near-death experiences professionally and personally for almost 40 years. So, do I know all the answers? No. And Dave and I never claim to. We forget, but we do try to remember to tell you guys we're not experts.
Yeah.
We're sharing with you from our personal experiences as well as what we believe we get from spirit. But I believe that when our loved ones leave, they transition back home, as I call it. Okay. They hang around here to make sure everybody's going to be okay. They
Yep.
know that their passing is going to create the most upheaval that and sorrow and pain and what have you. So they stay from the other side, if you will, to try and comfort in any way that they can.
Yeah.
Eventually, yes, they do cross, but the way I understand it is there is no space and time on the other side. So every time you think of your dad, every time you want to communicate with your dad, you want to whatever, you can. It's going to be telepathically, usually the easiest way is in a dream. He may leave you signs. Some people have seen their loved ones. It just depends. It's a unique situation for everybody. There could, I don't know your history. Maybe your dad is still here. Maybe he has chosen not to cross over. And we have that choice in life as we have free will, just as we do when we're not living and breathing on this planet, I'll say. Dave, I know you want to say something.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see
No,
Dave.
that's okay. I was trying to soak in. My dad died was around for about 15 hours before leaving my house. What Lorilei said is absolutely true. There are many spirits who aren't ghosts who stick around for a couple days because they want to
Sometimes
see their
longer.
maybe they want to see their funeral. Maybe they, like she said, a lot of them tell me the same thing. I want to make sure everybody's okay before I go
Yeah.
and see how they're dealing with this, and then they take off. I am unclear when you said he's around for 15 hours before leaving my house. Absolutely, I totally agree with that. That is something that happens all the time. He's currently down the alley from a house I grew up in. He's still here. Now, do you mean he's down the alley at a house in spirit and is still here?
Yeah.
Or are you saying that he died, stuck around the house for 15 years, and then now he's alive in another house? I wasn't quite.
I think he meant in spirit, personally.
Okay,
He added a
then
little bit more here. He said, my dad wasn't the only one I've seen return. I've been shopping at Walmart and been visited by someone I knew that died and who disappeared when they shocked him back to life. Only his mom knew that he had passed. So I'm a little bit confused with that. So it sounds like they were resuscitating him and he didn't stay in living form, or was he resuscitated? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. But like I say, and it's hard to explain this, but because there is no space and time on the other side, and you may just have, I think we all can do this, but some of us kind of hang on to these gifts. Maybe you can see spirit, like you're clairvoyant, we would call it.
Joshua totally just on the bottom. He said he's living with other spirits in an abandoned house. Gotcha. That I understand. He just didn't want to leave yet.
Okay, gotcha.
That doesn't mean there's no incarnation. That means that spirit in particular decided he doesn't want to go over.
Just what I said, maybe, yeah, he hasn't decided to cross
There
over.
you go. Yeah. Neil, could you put Neil's up there?
Pardon, Niels? Okay.
Neil Card. You see it? Yeah, that one. Neil wrote, as taught in Vedic Lit, not quite sure. It was probably abbreviation. The astral body is your last subtle material body. It carries the soul when it leaves the top of the head to its next step. I have a little different outlook on that, but you're close as far being a medium and being somebody who did cross over and come back. That it's I refer to it as the etheric body. The astral body is the body that you use in your dream sleep when you astral travel and stuff, and it is a subtle, very subtle physical body. When you go all the way to the other side and you're no longer attached to that silver cord, then it's etheric. It's an etheric body, which means, for the best way to me to describe it in human terms would be, everyone looks like a big, beautiful aura. That's pretty much how I see it. But you can materialize as
I had
something.
a friend describe it, and
Okay.
I love this description, that it's basically like a love soup going to the other side. You are also interconnected and intermingled energetically, that I've seen so many people talk about this, that you actually get it. You understand what it means, that we really are a part of each other. The rock is a part of me, the grass is a part of me, other planets are part of me, and I'm a part
Mhm.
of them. We are all interconnected. So if you think about soup, right? We take all these ingredients all separate, chop them all up, right? They're all separate. We know what they all taste individually. When we put them in a pot, we mix them all up. Maybe we puree them, we cook them for a long time. Then try and take that soup and separate it. It all becomes one, right? It all becomes one thing. It becomes that dish that you're making. And I know it's very simplistic, but I agree with 100%. Excuse me, David, with what you're talking about here. So it's energy that we have. And I really, really, truly believe we are an everlasting energy, if you want to call it soul, immortal, whatever it may be. We're
Mhm.
just here in this lifetime having a human experience.
Yep. We're
When
just
you
a
look at
bio body.
everlasting or immortal, our 80, 100 years, however long we're here, that is a blink of an eye. When you're
Yeah.
looking at no ending in time, and I mean, we could do shows and shows on this about why. And again, does it mean we're absolutely correct? No, because I always say none of us are going to have all the answers until we go back home ourselves.
Exactly. And I do know this from when I was over there, specifically some stuff that was told to me. One is, even near death experiencers do not know everything, do not remember everything, because we don't. I don't remember everything. I wasn't there long enough. If you were there for 3 hours, you probably still wouldn't remember everything. And then some you're not supposed to remember. It would mess you up. Probably if you did know. Um, but I was reading as I got off listening to his experience thing. Sorry.
Where did you want me to
Um,
go?
no, that's okay. That's okay. But the the bodies and the souls and all that, until there's that silver cord is cut,
You're
you
reading
have,
my mind.
yeah, you have not gone all the way over. And once that spiritual, that silver cord, whatever people want to refer to it, once that is severed, there is no going back. There is no going back. You are now on the other side. Because I don't know if ghosts, have you heard, are ghosts still kind of attached to the silver cord, do you think? I don't think so, because there's no body
No,
to
because
go
I think
back
the
to.
silver cord attaches us to the body.
It's
That's a
still to
good
the
question.
body.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about that. But if you think about it, right, when we leave, if anything, I think they're still in their etheric body, what we just talked about. So my friend Augie was on the show, Augie Nost, recently, and he wanted to talk about this stuff. And one of the things that I like that he suggested, because again, you hear about people that have a hard time crossing over, maybe because of religious dogma, maybe they're afraid of what awaits them on the other side. There's many, many reasons, right? And what he suggested is, God forbid you ever have like an NDE, or maybe you find yourself, you've left this physical body, but you're afraid to cross over, or maybe you're just in all the dark and there's no light, you can't see anything. Start thinking of somebody you love. And he suggested your mom. He said a
Mhm.
mom. He said everybody has a mother. I don't know if I'd say that, but think of somebody you love. Could be a pet, could be anybody, and ask them to come get you from the other side,
Oh,
because they
sure.
will. They'll come and get you, because eventually, he's one that made me realize this when I lived in my previous my home, the haunted house, that, and you hear stories as you start to study this kind of stuff and people connecting with the other side, eventually souls wake up and realize, what am I doing here? I don't need to stay here. And anytime they want to leave, they can leave. You can cross over, go back home, as I call it, right? But I thought that was a great suggestion to remember. Think of somebody you love and just think it. You don't have to say it, but think it and ask them to come and get you.
Yeah, you could.
Mhm.
That's it. They're always there. Nobody had to come get me. I know exactly
There
where I
we
was going.
go. Good
I was
question, Michelle. Dave and I've had this question. Comment. We've had conversations on this, especially years ago, haven't we, Dave?
Yeah. Walk-in. What is a walk-in when there's no going back? If let's say I'm going to use me for an example. So let's say I had a near-death experience, which I did. But let's say I left the body, I went over there, and I said to them, I cannot go back. I cannot do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't. Now, there are some times where you have to, because your leaving could screw up a lot of stuff way down here, because by leaving too quick or leaving when you're not supposed to, it kind of messes up the balance of the things here. So a walk-in is another soul that you make an agreement with over there that says, okay, I don't want to stay. I don't want to go back there. They needed me to. You go back instead. So they go into that body. Now, a walk-in shares, when they do that, they kind of share the memory of you. They kind of share who you are, but they are a little bit different. A walk-in is literally a soul that it's a body that exchanges souls. That's it. That's all that is.
Okay, I have a little bit different explanation, but very similar. So as I understand, a walk-in is exactly what Dave said. You have an experience, you're no longer, you don't want to go back. Maybe you have the opportunity, you could go back into your body for whatever reason. You flat out say, absolutely not. I am not going back. Doesn't matter what you say, how you explain it, whatever. I'm not going back. And we have that choice to do that, by the way. Nobody can make us do something. But we've got this perfectly good body. Maybe this body still has some missions that need to be accomplished.
Exactly.
Like you said, Dave, many things could get screwed up. And
Yep.
as I understand it, and I believe this, there's a lineup of souls wanting to have an incarnation on earth. This is one of the toughest places to come. We come here with spiritual amnesia. We come into these dense, heavy, fragile bodies. But the amount of learning that we can experience coming here is incredible. And I've also seen it. I can't say I've heard it, but I've seen that it's been explained. I've been some of you are new here tonight, but I'm looking into quite a few different individuals who channel different collectives. And as it's seen from other places, other galaxies, other beings, that those souls, meaning ourselves, every one of us that is here, is really looked at with great admiration, respect, and love for making the choice to come here and incarnate. And it's a gift to be here. And none of us are here by accident.
Yeah.
And again, Joshua, I'm reading your souls, or your souls. I'm reading your words. I'm reading your words, and I love what you just added. Again, it's my experience, not a book reference, and that's okay, because when we have conversations like this, maybe we don't believe the same as you, or you don't believe the same as us. That's how we learn from one another, right? And we be open to what somebody else is saying, because I don't know all the answers. You could be totally right, right?
I had a whole bunch of stuff I thought was the way it was until I had my experience, and I was like, oh, I was so wrong. So I did not mind being wrong either.
No. Look at Dr. Eben Alexander, if you can, okay? Look up Dr. Eben, it's E-B as in Bob, E-N, Alexander. Surgeon, near-death experience, was completely an atheist. There was nothing after this. He didn't believe in spirituality. He didn't have time for any of this crap. It was absolute BS, okay? He caught meningitis, went into a coma, and had a cardiac arrest, and his heart stopped. He stopped breathing. He had a major near-death experience. Dr. Eben Alexander no longer operates as one of the U.S. top neurosurgeons or anything to that effect. He's written books on this now. He talks about it, and that is one of the biggest things he says. And I've seen many people that have said this, especially after a near-death experience. Boy, was I wrong. Right?
Yeah, we never know. It all changes for us. Can you throw Neil's up there? He said
I was just gonna highlight it. You told me to do it.
Yes. I was told over and over and over and over again after my NDE that I was a walk-in. I thought
we
about it.
talked about it, eh, Dave?
Yeah, I've talked about it. We've
The
all
thing I
talked.
forgot to add quickly, the reason why the person, another soul, may agree to come into the body when the original owner, if you will, keeper of the body, has absolutely refused to come back is, again, I was starting to add perfectly good body, and maybe there are some missions that still need to
Yes,
be
it's
accomplished.
fulfilling. Thank you. It's fulfilling the obligations of the soul that couldn't come back. So that's what a walk-in can be. When you wonder if you're a walk-in, this I don't know. I
You
don't know.
still don't know, eh, Dave? And you've come to the conclusion, right? Does it really matter?
Yeah, that's Neil. That's what I was going to tell Neil, because Neil says sometimes I wonder if I'm a walk-in. I do wonder if things happen, because I literally am different than what I was.
Oh my
Before
God, are you? I didn't know you before, but seeing pictures and everything, Dave.
Yeah, a lot of things are different about me. But like Lorilei said, I just kind of came to the conclusion, whatever it is, even it doesn't matter to me anymore. It really doesn't matter. I know I've seen people going, I am a walk-in, and they make a TikTok about this, that, and the other thing, which is fine. I get it. But it's almost like the same people. That reminds me of the people who come here, or who I hear go, I'm a reincarnated angel. I'm a reincarnated angel. I am Michael, the archangel. I am Uriel. It's like, no, you're not. Just go away. But stuff like if I guess the wondering is absolutely correct, Neil. I'm in the same boat. Sometimes I wonder, but I keep saying to myself, who cares? I guess it doesn't matter. Another way I say that I paid my Neil, spot on, Neil. Neil, that might be helping with you. Think about this, Neil. One thing that happened to me during my near death, whether I'm a walk-in or not, but during my near death experience, I went through it's like a life review of this life to get rid of and pay back karma that was disrupting whatever I came here to do. So Neil,
I want to talk about
that's
this.
very true, Neil. That could be you. It could have been you. Just that reason that happened was to get rid of that karmic sludge off you that you had that was no longer needed.
Okay, I want to read this one because this is beautiful. It almost brought me to tears, and I'm not a crier. So Shannon says, one of my patients just said, I was terrified to die. They are making me excited for it now. And you know what, sweetheart? Again, we don't have all the answers, but there is, I have yet, I'll be very honest with you, in 40 years of studying and speaking to patients that went through cardiac arrest, were resuscitated, reading, talking to people, I have yet to see a person that experienced any pain or anything when the soul left the body. Sometimes there might be a little bit of physical pain, like if, say, you were in a car accident or something. So the body may feel that, but the soul doesn't. The soul doesn't remember it. And as I've connected with my guides and understood this, the only way we experience actual pain when the soul is, say, leaving a body is if we built that into our experience, that there's something for us to learn. But I said in 40 years, now I've not talked to every person on the planet, but I've yet to see a person. Heck, there was one guy that was, his parachute didn't open. Was it you, maybe, Dave, that was talking?
That was my reading. Yeah.
Yeah, and you said the guy took time. You tell it. It's your story. Took time to enjoy falling, didn't he?
Okay, yeah. Just I was doing a reading for somebody on a live event that we were doing, and the person, how they, a lot of times they'll describe to me and tell me how they got to the other side. He had me literally just in the sky, just kind of flying there. And I thought, well, this is kind of weird. And I kind of knew I was falling. But then I kept asking him, I'm like, I don't understand what happened to you. I don't understand. And then they turned me over. And as I turned over, I was looking up in the sky and I saw a plane go by. And I'm like, what the hell was that? So I told this lady it was her brother. And I said, hey, your brother was here and he showed me how'd you died, but he had me flying in the air. And then I saw this plane and I don't understand it. She said, he died during a parachute accident. His parachute didn't open. This dude was so cool. He was one of those ones. He had decided or it was decided as he was falling, he was going to be taken before he hit the ground. So that's exactly what happened. And he said he remembered that's the way he wanted to go. And but he didn't want to feel the pain. There are some, like Lorilei says, which I don't get, but they want to feel
I
like,
it's been very few and infrequent in between that I've seen that. But as I've understand it, with connecting with my guides and speaking with other people that connect openly and this type of communication, that unless you've built that into your experience on this lifetime, that there's something to be gained from experiencing that, pain, because we torture ourselves. And how could we not when we hear, say, of a loved one or someone that sounds like they had a horrific way they left this planet. So it's been very comforting, and I know to share with other people that the soul doesn't feel that. The soul leaves and there's no memory of it. Even when they come back, people talk about their near-death experiences when they come back, and how big and expansive our energy is, and they
yeah,
literally feel like they're being shoved into this compression
yeah.
bandage.
Oh, I tell
It's
you,
so amazing.
when you do come back, it is the most depressing thing in the entire
Yes,
world.
I've seen many
Because
people, because
yeah.
you're so happy and you see all your people you
Oh,
knew. And
and when you come back here, this whole world looks like a mess. When you come back, you're like, that's cute what Shannon said. I just
okay, well, let's
clarified.
read it. Shannon
Yeah,
says, I just clarified with her patients. You can be excited, but no leaving the planet tonight. Okay,
yeah.
everybody. No going home
No
tonight, please.
labeling.
On Shannon.
Um,
Hi, Susan. You just about missed us, but there's a replay here on YouTube, and there'll be one on Facebook or anywhere where podcast and talk radio are carried, because we have to go. Like, we got just a couple
yeah.
minutes, Dave. So you want to
Okay.
tell them where to find you?
Yes, if anybody wants to find me, you can go to Facebook, YouTube, or TikTok. TikTok is Spiritual Medium David Hanzel. All I do is answer questions. That's all I do. No niches, no nothing. I have the Spirit Experience is my YouTube channel, which I'm getting back up there again. I have a podcast called Mystic Stew. You can find that pretty much anywhere you get your podcast. It's not live; it's short form. Also, if you need to get a hold of me, I never, ever, ever DM anybody. So anybody who's friends with me on Facebook, I do not DM and solicit stuff. I never do. If you want a reading, you can only go to my website, which is thewhispertome.com. And if
Good.
you have any ideas for this show or any others, you can write to me at david@thewhispertome.com. Take it away, Laura.
Awesome. Yes. And I don't do that either. I don't solicit people or anything like that. But if you ever want to get a hold of me, maybe you got a show idea. You guys gave us some great conversation tonight. Thank you. Questions, comments, and we love that. That's why we like to make you guys
Yeah.
part of the show. So you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/the Angel Rock. If you want to book a reading, I do healing sessions, I do mentoring, or like I said, a show or guest idea. I'm sure Dave would be open to receiving one as well. We're
Yep.
usually on the same page every week when
Yeah,
we
we
connect.
are.
I was just thinking about that. But if you guys got more things you want to talk about, let us know, because this is your show. We do it for you guys, because
Yep.
without you, there was just me and Dave having a great chit chat. So also, please feel free to join me here right on UPRN on Monday nights, 6 to 8 p.m. with the Angel Rock. I have coming back a returning guest, Sonia Roy. She's been traveling all over the place doing mentoring, all kinds of stuff. She was a fascinating guest. She's got so much knowledge. She's a shaman. I believe she's had an NDE. She's got so much stuff, and I can't wait to hear about the teaching and people she encountered going all over the world in the last few months. So she'll be there this Monday. So I think
Ooh,
I remembered everything, right, Dave?
I think we
Oh, I
got
forgot.
everything.
Stay tuned for the Outer Realm with the amazing Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano right after this. How could I forget?
Yes, don't forget that. And you guys, once again, like Lorilei said, you're very important to us. Thank you so much. We always how it works for us, we we don't get to talk a lot during the week. We just we play back and forth on
We send
messages.
memes and
Yeah.
stuff.
But we try to come up with a topic to start off with. Today it didn't happen, but we did for a little bit. But this is how we work it. So if you guys will have a topic you would like us to discuss, if we know something about it, we will discuss it. If we don't know anything about it, all we can offer you is stuff that we researched.
And we
Uh,
just pivot, guys, by what you guys say and where the conversation's going. We just pivot. Like, we're not that married to an idea. It's just a
no,
starting point for us, right, Dave?
yeah, yeah, and
Mhm.
that's it. And if we ever at the same time say our closing thing, we will give you guys readings.
We forgot our reading tonight.
Yeah, that's
We
okay.
were
We have a lot of
so
people
involved. We forgot it, guys. It's first time. You're so welcome. She says, I love you too. We love you guys. We really,
thank you so much.
Thank you. We got so involved in your conversation. I have all my cards out here. You think it would remind me? That means we got to do 2 next week, Dave.
I had my journey cards. Okay, we'll do a bunch of them next week.
We'll do 2 next. Happy Easter to those of you that celebrate, and have a beautiful, peaceful, wonderful weekend. And we will see you next Thursday. Okay, are you ready, Dave?
Okay.
What's
at the foot of your bed? Oh, it's so weird.
One of these days we're gonna get it. We get it.
I messed it up last week. Yeah.
You'll get identical at the same time. We will give somebody from each of us a full reading. So hang on, guys. We love you so much. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.